Let me see the comment.
Is there an app in it?
Oh, so no.
Okay, what page?
All right, today, good morning. Today is Daf Lamed Gimel. We left off
Okay,
at the bottom of Lamed Beis.
okay.
Lamed Beis, last two words,
Okay.
I think. Oh, Tashma, come and listen. Vaverim.
Okay.
So we discussed.
Morning.
Welcome tax. Welcome
All
tax.
right, so Tashma, come and listen. Yesterday we were talking about loading and unloading.
Okay.
So Roivates, now we were trying to talk, our last discussion was Legabe Tzar Balachai. Is it Daraisa or not? So Tashma, come and listen. It says over there, Roivates, if an animal is crouching underneath, below Robson, and not if an animal is a habitual croucher. And Roivates below Emet. Also, it means if he does it, if it's his normal behavior that he gets like, he falls underneath his load. And Roivates below Emet, also he has to be ready crouching down and not standing. Takas Masoy, below Mefurak. So it says over there, below Emet, Takas Maso, below Mefurak, Takas Maso. And so it says over there that that it has to be standing there, and it has to be something that is not that was not already removed from it. And it says mostly sheyachol amado, and it says also something that is able to go ahead and carry. Now, what's the proof? And if you say tzar b'lechaim is deraisa, so mali roives, mali robson. What does it make a difference whether he habitually does it or not? Right, the animal's under, distress, and you should tzar b'lechaim is deraisa. Who cares about standing? If it's under distress, then you should go ahead and say it. So Gemara answers no. Haman Rabbi Yosef Glili, the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Glili. He Damar tzar b'lechaim derabanan. Who says tzar b'lechaim is midrabanan? And hachi nami mistavra. And this is also logical to say why. The Tani says there takos muscle. Right? It says over there underneath its load, which is referring to Masay Shech Olamabo, something which it can normally stand under. So Man Shmias Lei Islay Haisvar, who's the one who normally holds that it has to be something that is not, that normally it could go ahead, it's a load. So that's Rabbi Yosef Glili. So Shmamina, indeed, maybe let's say it's Rabbi Yosef Glili, and therefore it's no proof from here. That the Rabbanan holds, Sabbath Chaim is only the Rabbanan. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yosef Glili, could you establish that Rabbi Yosef Glili? Tani Seifa. The statement says Takas Mas underneath its burden, V'loi Mefurak, and now the burden was already unloaded. So Milo Mefurak, if it was not, in order to mean it was not already unloaded. So Ilay Malo Mefurak Klal wasn't unloaded. So Haksiv, Hakim Imo. It says, yeah, in other words, the guy's waiting on the side of the road because you want to go ahead and load it. So that's a plus in the Torah. You can't say there's no obligation to go ahead and load it. Elip Shita Mefurak Bechina means you should not go ahead and you don't have to unload a Bechina Ela B'schar. Right, that even unloading you can get paid for. And man shmias lay the high svard. Who has the svard? Normally Rabbanan hold you have to unload it for free. Who's the one who holds even unloading? You can go ahead and charge for. You say high svard. So it's the Rabbanan. So therefore, it would be the Rabbanan. So Gemara says no. The Rabbi Yosef Glili, Rabbi Yosef Glili, uvatina savar la Rabbanan. And when it comes to loading, he holds like the Rabbanan that you can go ahead and charge. In other words, it means that which was done in one case they hold like Rabbi Yosef Glili would hold like the Rabbanan that he'd go ahead and charge for it, and the other case in terms of Tzar B'lechaim that he holds it's only midrabanan. And Tanur Rabbanan says
His shita is that Tzar B'lechaim is only.
Rabbi Yosef Glili is that was the right. So that was the deflection that we tried to prove that Rabbanan hold that. So the Gemara says no, maybe not. Maybe it's only the Rabbi Yosef Glili here. So Tanur Rabbanan says there Kisira. So it says when you see it, Yachal if you see it from far. It says there when you encounter. So each kisipka when you encounter Yachal Pagia Mamish, he has to be Mamish come in contact. When you see it, what is a thing that is sort of meaning? So one over 7.5, I guess 2/15 of a mil. 2/15 of a mil, which is 2,000 amos.
Okay.
And this is a reese. And Tana, Umadada, Ima at Parsa, you have to also go with that, make sure that it's able to go ahead and carry at Parsa, which is 4 mil. And Amar Rabbi Rechana, the Noitel Schar, and a person who goes ahead after he helps load it, he could also go ahead and charge for the escort to make sure that the animal is able to go ahead and maintain the load. Fine. Now your Mishnah. Next comes the last Mishnah of the parak.
I see that as like
Aveda, so now the guy's Aveda, the Aveda's Aviv, and the Aveda of his father. So he has two lost objects, and he can only go for one. Aveda, so Kaidamas, he can go ahead and retrieve his own lost object, as opposed to his father's. Aveda, so the Aveda's Rabbi. What about his Aveda and the Aveda of his Rebbe? Shalok Kaidam, once again, his comes first. We'll soon see in the Gemara why. Aveda's Aviv, Aveda's Rabbi. What about his father's Aveda versus his Rebbe's Aveda? So Shal Rabbi Kaidamas. His Rebbe comes before. Why? Because his father brought him to this world, but his Rebbe brings him to the next world.
He's finding his own Aveda.
In other words, that he can go either retrieve his own.
But it's not
Before he knows where it is.
Before somebody else.
Right. In other words, it was lost. Oh my God, I left it over there. But you left it over there. So do I go back to that place, that shul, or do I go back to that shul because we each left our own place? I can only go to one. Right. Right. However, let's say his father was a chacham, some say equivalent to his rebbe, or if he was his own rebbe, shall aviv kodems. But his father was a chacham, then his father actually comes before his rebbe. And aviv rabbi naisin masui. Let's say they're both carrying a load. First, he goes ahead and he helps load with his Rebbe, and then he goes to his father. Once again, we see that the Rebbe comes before the father, same spara of this world and the next world. And Haya Aviv, once again, they're both taken captive. Paidas Rabbo, first he redeems his Rebbe, then he redeems his father. But his father is a chacham, and then Paidas Aviv, then the father gets two check marks, both this world and the next world, and therefore you go ahead and you redeem the father, and afterwards you Paidas Rabbo. Fine. Zok the Gemara. So Manohani Mili, how do we know that his money comes first? So we actually saw this before, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. The pasuk says Efes. So we said over there Efes, right? The word is really superfluous. So therefore we learned from there that you should not but with you, in other words, you should evion, you're commanded not to be an evion first before others. Therefore, your money takes precedence over other people's money. However, we'll soon see. However, we do says, and there was a person who holds to this, my money comes first. In the end, he will become poor, like he was trying to go ahead and avoid. They're carrying a load. So Tan Rabban and Rabbo, when we said Rabbi, who's this? Shamru Rabbo, Shalimdu Chachma, Veloy Rabbo Shalimdu Mikro Mission. It says Rameir, it's only his Gemara teacher, but not his Chumash or his Mishnah teacher. That is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Meir. If you learn most of your chachma from him, that is considered to your Rebbe, like so almost like Rabbi Mufak, according to Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yossi even if you only taught him one Mishnah, that's considered his Rabba. So you could have dozens or hundreds of Rebbe. And Amar Rava Kagayin Rav Schara, Rav Schara, the Asvin Zuma Listeran. He explained to us a case of a Mishnah. I think it was a Caleb. Right? It says there a type of kli that it was a small vessel used to go ahead and clear the froth off the top. So now even someone who just told us what identified a word for us was, that's considered to be Rabbo. And Shmuel Karei Ma'anei Alel. The Rabbanan, the Aspri, Echad Yorei La'amas Hashachi Echad Paisech Pivams, and Shmuel, he tore his clothing to show a sign of respect for Rebbe. Even somebody, a certain rabbi who taught him the pshat of the Mishnah of where the person goes down to unlock a key in the Mikdash, he had to hold, go put his arm through. That was an explanation of there. To his armpit, he had to put his arm through it and lock it from behind, and then he quickly opens the other door. So, anyways, the one who taught him that one case, he tore Kriya for. And Amar Ula they stood for one another. They also tore Kriya for one another. However, when it comes to lost objects, they wouldn't go ahead and retrieve for another, somebody who just told them a stam Mishnah over their father, unless it was his Rebbe Mufak. The boy midei Rav Chizda me Rav Huna, like that was Rav Chizda asked Rav Huna, Talmud v'tzarich lo rabo. So Rav Chizda, who is a Talmud of Rav Huna, he says, what about if the Rebbe, right? Now the Rebbe needs a Talmud, right? He's like wink, wink. He's saying to his Rebbe, what about if the Rebbe needs a Talmud? So, what is the luck in that case? Right now, is in terms of the Veda, is it the same? Still considered to be Rabo, but let's say the Rebbe also needs a student. Samarle chizda leitzricha nelecha, right? Ad tzricha ad arbim shani. He says, in other words, he's got the hint. Rav Huna got the hint. He says, listen, chizda, I don't need you for 40 years. So ikpadi ahadadi. They got upset with one another. And they didn't go ahead, and he got offended. The other one got offended that he was implying that he needs him. The other one got offended that he insulted him, and therefore they did not see each other. They stopped going to each other. Yasir Rav Chizda arboim tanisa mishin techalash daiti Rav Huna, and Rav Chizda he fasted 40 times because perhaps he offended Rav Huna, and Yasir Rav Huna arboim tanisa mishin techalash Rav Chizda. Then afterwards, also Rav Huna also did 40 fasts, because he was chayshid that Rav Chizda was really implying something which Rav Chizda wasn't necessarily implying. He was just asking a shaila, halachic shaila, and therefore they separated, and then they were upset, that perhaps they hurt the other one. Seitma Rav Yechon halach Rabbi Yehuda, that is referring to the Rabbi Mufa. That's the Rebbe. Rav Acha Rav Huna Amar Rav Sheish halach Rabbi Yosi. Halach is like Rabbi Yosi, who says even one Mishnah is considered to be Rabbo. Umi Amar Rabbi Yechon halach Yechon says, "V'hamar Rabbi Yechon halach is a Mishnah. Halach is a stam Mishnah. Utanan, and we learn in the Mishnah. Rabbo shalim du chachma. He taught him chachma, right? So chachma is Gemara, right? So that would be like Rab Meir. So Gemara says, no, my chachma, Rab chachma. So maybe means the majority of his chachma like Rabbi Yehuda. So ten rabbanim for lands from the bottom. Ha'iskim b'mikra mida ve'ena mida. One who goes ahead and learns chumash, he gets a mida, gets a measurement, but it's not complete. The Mishnah, Mida. But no less chayv. One is Mishnah, then that is considered to be a full limud, and he can go ahead and take schar. So Gemara, ein l'chal Mida gedol mizu. Right? In Gemara, nothing is greater, is a higher level than learning Gemara. Well, the Mishnah yasim in Gemara, but a person should always run after Mishnah more than the Gemara. Gemara says, "Haguv kashya." Yeah, I guess. Well, in other words, it was the. Well, I mean, the Gemara they had, Rav Chizda wasn't reading like Rav Chizda's name. It wasn't Arshat Babli, but it was the Masorah of the understanding of the Brisas. There's all the Brisas and the comparing and the contrasting. That was referred to as Gemara, as opposed to just learning and the Mishnayos. It was more entailed. So Gemara says, I understand. By Gemara, you said there's nothing greater than Gemara. And afterwards, then it says afterwards, you run after the Mishnah more than you go to Gemara. So which is more, Mishnah or Gemara? Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan. The page. During the Rebbe Mishnah, so they taught that in terms of that. It says Gemara and everyone left their Mishnayos at home and just learned Gemara. So Hadar Darshu, he saw that people were neglecting Mishnah. So Hadar Darshu, the Mishnah Yasim Gemara. A person should run to the Mishnah in order to basically correct the people leaving the Mishnah. Mm-hmm. And my darsh, what did he darsh? And could the darsh Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Loi, my dechsiv, what does it mean over there? It says Hage le'ami pisham. I told my people of their iniquities, right? The Beis Yaakov chatasim, and the Beis Yaakov their chatayim. So Hage le'ami pisham. So Elu Talmid Chachamim sheshigos nasalem kizdayim. Right? These are Talmid Chachamim who that their shogeg's are like amazing. In other words, even though they did accent, but they didn't learn the Mishnayos properly, and therefore they're held accountable because they didn't learn the Mishnayos properly. So therefore, it's very important to learn Mishnayos. Right, that their mazids are like a shogeg, right? Because they don't know behind it. The Tanan, that's what you learn. Right? You got to be careful with Talmud, because the learning of the Talmud basically makes you now mazid. Now you should be held accountable.
You have to be much more careful.
Yeah, because now you're right. And Darish Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eloi Ma'anich Tzil does mean Shimo Dvar Shem HaCharedim Elu. So it says was Shimo Dvar HaCharedim. So Elu Divrei El Dibro. So it says over there. Al Devaro. So it says, listen, those who tremble, Charedim, right? Al Devaros, Al Devaro. So Elu Tamil Chachamim. These are the Tamil Chachamim. So Amra Achechem Elu, and he says these are brothers. So Elu Bali Mikra. Those are the people that learn Mikra. Those people of Mikra, they're considered to be brethren towards the Tamil Chachamim who learn Gemara. And Senechem Elu Bali Mishnah, but it says over there that those that hate them, they're enemies, right? Those are the Bali Mishnah, the people that say no, just learn Mishnah and not Gemara. And says Menadechem, those who push you away, Elu Amay Aretz, those the Amay Aretz. So Shema Tamar Pasuk Siram about the Sikuya. Maybe you'll say that, in other words, that once they're enemies now, they're no longer going to be in the future. The Talmud it says Venira b'samchasechem. It says over there, then they will rejoice with you. They will see the happiness. I guess the end of the days. And Shema Tamar Yisrael Yivoshu. Perhaps we'll say they'll be embarrassed. Talmud Yivoshu of the Chavim Yivoshu Yisrael Yismachu. Now, only of the Chavim will be embarrassed, and not Yisrael will, and Yisrael will be rejoicing. So how do So Hamafkid, not Perk Hamafkid. Hamafkid is a Chavera, Behema, a Kalim, one who goes ahead. It's like common, right? So one who goes ahead, he's Mafkid by his friend, the Behema or Kalim.
See, we need this evidence.
So one who goes ahead and he leaves a pikadon by his friend, an animal or a utensil, the Niknavu or Sha'avdu, and now it was stolen. Or it was lost. It was not negligent, but it was lost. Shilem. So if he wants, he can choose to pay below Ratzal Shava, right? Sometimes a guy, I don't know, maybe I was responsible. I just rather pay than worry about it. Here's your $100. Not a big deal. I can afford it. Take $100, and I don't want to make a shvuah.
Right.
That's it. Shareyanu shemerchinam, because a shemerchinam nishba v'yaitze. And if he wants, a person who's watching something for free, he can go ahead and make a shvuah v'yaitze and be done and be pater. However, nimtza ganav v'shalom tishum mekeva. They find the ganav, then he has to pay double. And tavach l'machar, let's say it was an animal who was shechted or sold, v'shalom tishum arba chamisha, he stood 4 or 5 times. Now, who does he pay? Lemi shapikadon esok, to the person who paid. In other words, once you pay the $100 to the owner,
so then
I have the future rights if there's kefel or dal b'chamisha.
Oh.
Now, let's say I was the shamir and I was nishbav lo ratzal shamir. Let's say I said,
the owner could tell him, don't be mishaber.
Right.
He did tell him that.
So he wanted to pay, but let's say in case he has nishbav, the guy pays v'lo ratzal shamir. He doesn't want to pay, so he makes a shvuah. Nimsa gana, they find the gana or misham tashum kefel, and the gana has to pay double. And tavach hamachar if a shechter is sold, misham tashum arba chamisha, he has to pay 4 or 5 times. Lami mishalim, who does he pay? Labala pikada, the owner, because the guy, remember, the guy made a shvuah. Says I was not negligent, it was stolen or it was lost.
You paid.
Then the found the gun, and then it goes to the original owner. So Gemara says, first of all, lam lemis the behema, lam lemis the kalim. Why do you got to say both behema and kalim? So tzrika, you need both. Tana behema. If it was behema, Havamina was said behema who demakni le kfela. Only as the animal, was when the owner is giving over the animal. So maybe like. You're watching my animal for free, so therefore, if you pay and it gets stolen and it's kefil, you can go ahead and get the kefil. Why? Because it's a big headache to go ahead and watch my animal, right? You got to take it out, you got to feed it, you got to walk it, right? But Kalim, but Kalim, you just sit in your closet. Maybe the owner would not sell them, or give over the rights to the double payment if they find the ganim. Vitana Kalim. And if we only have the case of Caleb, having no thought, Caleb would marking like Kfela. No, it's Caleb. Worst case scenario, you guys gets paid double. Okay, so you get paid the double. Because it's only 2 times. About behema, but the animal, the chitavach machar, but the animal, if we found the ganim, it was shechter sold, and all of a sudden now it's 4 or 5 times the amount. 5x is pretty good. Aim low. Maybe I would say, he would not sell it. So aim low marking he would not give the kefil. Therefore, it's tzricha. Now. So mask of the Rabbi Chaim last question. I understand. Yigal owns an item. he gives it to me, right? And then it gets lost or stolen. So how is he able to go ahead and give me over the rights to the kefel if it didn't even happen yet? It's a davar shalom b'alaylo, right? In other words, he's given to me now on January 1st, right? He comes back and then January 30th, he goes, "Where's
You pay.
huh?"
The reason he gives you the rights because you paid them.
But it has to be
But I-
right. But at the time, it was shalom b'alaylo.
Pays me,
So let's see.
all the rights.
So let's explain the kasha. It's all sort of really together.
No,
Let's see.
because although you don't have the animal, you own the animal if you paid me.
Right. So, but I didn't pay yet. So it's low, right now. But even it's low by elam. I have no idea if there's a guy. Let's see the question. Even according to Meir, says a person can go ahead and give over the rights to something that doesn't really exist. Hani Milli, that's only could go on Peiros, Dekel, the fruits of a tree. The tree is there, just the fruits didn't grow yet. It's not the season yet. David Yasu, because normally they come about Hachel, but in this case, first of all, when I go ahead and pay you, who said it was stolen? Even if it was stolen, who says they're going to find the Ganav? Usually a Ganav. The Mishalim, who said he's going to pay kefil? A miftar. Remember, a person who admits to something that is a knas, right? That's not reimbursement, but rather a penalty, i.e., paying doubles of penalty. So he's potter for making that pay. So the guy just fesses up, so he's potter. Tamarava. Nasa kaimelog l'kshakatignov the tirtzev tashlumani hare prazik. It's like he says no. When he says it's like at the time when he gave over the animal, he says, should the animal be stolen, then and you want to go ahead and pay me instead. In other words, when I come back and the animal was stolen, but when I come back and you say, you know what, I'd rather pay you, then at that point in time, I'm giving you over. I'm being mocking that to you from the time of from January 1st of when I gave it to you. So therefore, it was considered to be at the time when he gave over the animal, since it was like in the condition that if you compensate me for my loss, then I will give you over the rights to any form of payment afterwards. Therefore, it's considered to be that was part of the kinyan. It's necessarily considered to be double shalom.
It's the minute you got the money. That's it.
Right, when he got the money, but it's as if